If Alberta were to leave Canada, a scenario often called Alberta separation or Alberta independence, it would be a highly complex and controversial process with far-reaching consequences. In the past, Alberta's independence movement was around 10 to 20% of the popular vote. But in more recent times, and especially this year, this idea of an independent Alberta has risen to at least 30%. On my own poll on this channel, we see that Albertans have expressed themselves in this manner. 50% said they are in favor of an independent Alberta, 35% reject this idea, and 15% were simply unsure. What do you think? Should Alberta leave Canada? Leave your comment below. In this video, we will break down the pros from multiple angles: economic, political, social, legal, and international. Each point will be backed with context and implications. Let's first look at the pros of Alberta leaving Canada. Number 1. A greater control over natural resources. Alberta is resource rich, especially in oil and gas. As an independent nation, it would keep 100% of royalties from oil and gas and mineral extraction. This is currently shared with the federal government. It would also avoid federal restrictions or policies seen as hostile to fossil fuels, carbon taxes, pipeline delays, so forth. It would also set its own environmental regulations. Number 2, fiscal autonomy. Alberta is traditionally a net contributor to Canada, meaning it pays more in federal taxes than it receives in services and transfers. Independence would eliminate equalization payments, which many Albertans see as unfair. Alberta contributes, but provinces like Quebec, well, they benefit more. Alberta could keep and allocate all its tax revenues as it sees fit. Number 3. Customized political system. Alberta could craft its own constitution and governance, its system aligned with its values, more libertarian or conservative policies in play. This could include reforms like an elected Senate, term limits, or flatter tax structures. This avoids federal bureaucracy and Eastern-centric politics that many Albertans feel, and they feel that the East actually ignores the West in terms of priorities. Number 4. Cultural and identity reinforcement. A separate Alberta could foster a distinct identity. Strong Western Canadian culture values, individualism, entrepreneurship, self-reliance might be reinforced. This could develop its own symbol, currency, and citizenship. Number 5. Closer ties to the United States. As an independent nation, Alberta could negotiate direct energy deals with the U.S., its largest trading partner. It could potentially join the U.S. and trade alliances, and this would give it a more favorable energy export market. Some even suggest joining the U.S. as a state or territory, though that's extremely speculative and unlikely legally. Now let's go over the cons of Alberta leaving Canada. Number 1, constitution and legal chaos. Succession is not legally straightforward in Canada. The Clarity Act requires a clear referendum result and negotiation with the federal government. Indigenous treaties also complicate things. Alberta exists on treaty land, and many Indigenous nations might not recognize Alberta's independence. This, we would expect years and years and even decades of legal uncertainty. Number 2, economic uncertainty and instability. Loss of Canadian market access or trade barriers could hurt Alberta's exports, especially oil. There might be capital flight, meaning investors hate uncertainty and major companies might just leave or delay projects. Alberta would need to build a central bank, currency, financial regulations, and trade infrastructure from scratch. It might lose access to the Bank of Canada, the monetary policy and Canadian pension plan unless alternatives are built. Number 3. Loss of Canadian programs and benefits. Canadians enjoy access to universal health care. It's federally supported. The Canada Pension Plan, federal student loans, old age security, unemployment insurance, etc. And these would need to be recreated or replaced, likely at a significant cost. Number 4. Geopolitical and diplomatic isolation. Alberta is landlocked. It would depend on either the US or Canada for trade routes and pipelines. Gaining recognition from other countries or joining international organizations like the UN, the World Trade Organization, might be slow or even blocked by Canada. NATO or NORAD membership would be uncertain or require US lobbying. Number 5. Internal division and social strain. Not all Albertans support separation. Even if a referendum passed, the margin might be slim. Calgary and Edmonton might feel differently than rural areas. Indigenous groups could seek sovereignty within sovereignty, further fragmenting the governance here. Young people and professionals might leave for stability elsewhere in Canada. Number 6. Debt, currency, and monetary policy. Alberta would need to assume a share of Canada's federal debt, as Quebec would have had to during its own independence discussions. Deciding on a currency and creating its own or adopting another could create major economic issues. Creating a stable monetary system from scratch is risky and vulnerable to inflation or currency speculation. Now there's some other considerations as well. First of all, there's historic precedent. Alberta separatism has flared up during times of perceived federal neglect or hostility. During the National Energy Program of the 1980s, the carbon tax and pipeline delays of the 2000s. Well, no Canadian province has ever separated. Quebec came close in 1995. They actually had a 49.4% yes vote. Canada might not allow a clean break, though. Negotiations would be bitter and protracted. Ottawa could impose economic or legal consequences to deter succession. Alberta separation is theoretically possible, but extremely difficult and fraught with risk. The province would gain autonomy, but face enormous political, economic, and legal hurdles. In practice, even most strong Alberta First advocates focus on reform within Canada, ending equalization or getting more provincial powers, rather than full independence. Though the idea continues to simmer beneath the surface, especially during times of economic stress or federal-provincial friction. What do you think of Alberta separation or even Alberta reform? We'd love to hear from you. Post your comments below in the comment section. And we're going to do another video where we kind of assess what would happen if Alberta does join the US from a US perspective, an Alberta perspective, and also a Canadian perspective. Thank you so much for watching and have a great day.